guys. Okay. I know this isn't a diamond painting. It's not a drawing. It's not art. It's a little bit different. Okay. But it is related to diamond painting. So, as most people who diamond paint will know, the struggle is real to find that perfect diamond painting wax. And I have seen lots of people. Just a second, my kitty is interested in what's going on. Hi baby. Yes, so she may show an appearance in a second, so if my kitty walks across the screen, I do apologise. Yes, so I found that certain waxes don't work in certain pens. I found that certain waxes don't work at all. I started off by using just the normal generic pink wax that everybody uses. I have tried to steer clear of ordering every type of wax there is possibly available because one, because I don't want a million types of wax that I just put to one side and don't use. Two, I've looked at lots of reviews and I found very conflicting results. Lots of people like lots of things and then other people totally don't like them, and I think it's a very personal thing. However, I like to mess, concoct things, to create things. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to have a dabble. I thought to myself, well, the pink wax doesn't really work very well. Some of the made waxes are too hard and would be too, I struggle with my hands and they would be too hard for me to keep loading the pen. They are really hard on the hands and things like that, so I didn't want to go down that route. I found blue tack fantastic, but it does, if it touches the canvas, boy, you just can't get it off. So although I love blue tack and it lasts for ages, if it touches my canvas, it takes me forever to try and remove it and it frustrates me. So I thought, well, there must be, like everything else, I make bath bombs, which I sell. Hello baby. I haven't sold them at the moment. I'm had to close the small section of the shop that I was selling at because of COVID. But I've made bath bombs, I've made soaps, candles, you name it, I've made it. So I've got a lot of ingredients left over from making those. Hello Sugar Plum. So so I got to looking on the internet, and you know what? I could barely find any recipes for making your own diamond painting wax. Which I was really surprised, because if you put in soap making or you put in bath bomb making, up come thousands of recipes. And I was so amazed that there just wasn't much. I mean, there's alternatives, and there's try this and blue tack and paraffin wax, but there's no recipes to create your own, apart from one. And I found on YouTube this guy, Richard Thompson, and he calls it, well, he had a recipe for craft wax. He does lots of different things, carving and different things, so he has lots of different waxes lying around, and he called it craft wax. And I thought, I wonder if I could use this craft wax as the basis for making my own diamond painting wax. I thought, I don't want to come up with it, you know, I don't want to paint it and sell it and all that lot, unless I come up with this super recipe, and then I might, guys. So I thought I'd just have a go. Let's have a bit of fun. It's been a very stressful few weeks. Let's just make something. Let's just invent and have some fun. I love mixing concoctions and inventing. So let's have a go. So his base recipe was for this craft wax Now I don't know if this craft wax is going to be too hard, so I thought what I'll do is just start with his craft wax, see what it is, see how pliable it is, see if it even loads in the pen, and then I'll try and soften it with my own ingredients, things like that. I have heard, or I have read, should I say, that you can use beeswax. I've seen people use paraffin wax. I've seen people say that you can mix beeswax with Vaseline. Now Vaseline, I do know that you can mix Vaseline with different waxes to get different effects. So I know it will, petroleum-based substances will mix. Soy wax, that people have said will mix. But this craft wax was beeswax and pine resin. Now I just so happen to have pine resin. Now it's not something I would normally have, but I have made you know those food wraps, and you they're fabric, and you heat them in the oven and you make the sort of the wax substance go on them, and then you wrap them. And I've wrapped food, sandwiches and sort of eco-friendly wraps basically, and I used pine resin for that. So I thought, oh, I've got pine resin, so I thought I'm going to have a go. So I'm going to use some red candle dye. Now these are very yellow, so if I put a touch of this in, we should have an orangey red colour. So I'm just going to use some little cupcake cases that I used to use for my candles, and then I'm going to use double boiler method so that we I'm not going to use glass. I've had glass shatter on me before when I've made candles. It ain't pretty, so I'm just going to use a little stainless steel bowl, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to do a double boiler, and we're going to melt this down. So I'll give you the ratios at the moment, and then as I said, if I come up with this super great recipe, then obviously that's going to be a secret. But for now, we'll just go with, so Richard Thompson, he gave out 40% pine resin and 60% beeswax. So that's what we're going to start with. He did colour his, so we're going to start with that, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll just see what it is, and you know, if we can't use it for this, I might be able to use it for something else, but then I'm going to see how hard it is, and then we'll see if we need to soften it. Softening it wise, I mean, these are two pretty hard things, I would say, but the pine resin is harder than the beeswax. So I could go for a high ratio of the beeswax, but you know, beeswax is pretty hard stuff, really. I mean, if you've ever tried to melt beeswax, you know that it's got a high melting point. A much higher melting point than many other things you'll try and melt. So I know that things like Vibar can make your candles softer, so that's an option. I've got that. But what I might try is Vaseline is probably an easier method to try and soften it a little bit if we needed to soften it just a tiny. I don't have soy wax. I've never used soy wax. It's one of those things that I didn't go into the realms of soy wax. I tend to stick with the paraffin wax paste. So I don't really want to order anything at the moment. So I'll stick with what I have, and then we'll go from there. So let's get messing. Okay, so I actually ended up making 3. Now as you can see, I've sort of been poking and gauging at them. So the original one was this one, and I did test them yesterday, but to be fair, I had different results than I've tested them today. Yesterday they were still warm, today they are cold, and today it takes some bending to get this. This is, you couldn't, he said it was craft, sort of craft wax. To be honest, I couldn't do this with my hand. You'd have to warm this up to get this to work any. So, but you can use the pen with it. So this was the 60-40. Then I did a 50-50 and a 70-30. So 60% beeswax, 40% resin, say 50% of each, and then 70% beeswax and a 30% resin. So the results actually surprised me, and I'll take you over to show you on the my little test canvas in a minute. I loaded 3 pens and I sort of scraped along. When I pushed them in, pulled it out, it didn't really load. So I sort of, like you do with a lot of the waxes, I scraped them in the top. I did manage to get it in my multi-placer yesterday, but now they're a bit hard. I think you would be, oh, let's see. You could load the multi-placer, but it would take a little bit of doing. So, yeah, the results are surprising, actually. I predicted the wrong way round. I thought that this one was going to be the best, and actually the opposite. I said I will show you on the canvas, but I thought that since the pine resin is the stickiest or the gooeyest stuff when you melt it, unbelievable. It sticks to everything, and if you are going to have a go at this, guys, and bearing in mind this is just experiments, I'm not giving you, you know, recipes and formulations for you and saying this is definitely going to work for you. It makes a big difference whether you're a light presser or a hard presser, but be so careful, because if you get pine resin on you when it's hot, man does it burn. So use all safety stuff. I had like mitts on and different things, but when I was pouring it and when I was, you know, it's okay when it was in the pot, but when I was sort of moving it, definitely. So I would say that I expected the higher beeswax content to be better, but it isn't. It's the other way around. The blue actually works the best. It's still, if you're a heavy presser, it's not going to work. I'm a light presser, but if you're a heavy presser, it still lifts the canvas. So, you know, there is some tweaking. If you wanted to base a recipe on and start with this, you'd have to add some more ingredients. But the actual, can we use this wax for diamond painting? Yes. If you're a light presser, it takes some getting used to, but yes, you can. But the yellow one, no. Every time I'll show you, but every time the drills just stick and it just comes up. I know this is super sticky stuff. This one is okay, but the blue one, it's not perfect, but the blue one is best. So yeah, I'll take you over and we'll have a look. I've loaded the 3 pens with the 3 different waxes, and these are just the generic pens that you get with every diamond painting kit, and I'll show you. Okay, so first off, I'll show you the yellow one. So this is the yellow one. You see? You've got to really pull. Now I'm a light presser. Well, I consider myself a light presser. I see some people and they're like, okay, and that's a really light touch. And that's sort of, if I press hard, I can't get it off the canvas. So that's the yellow one. Then the red one Now I actually can't see 100% because I'm sort of trying to show you guys. So these are not going to be placed. This is just my test. They're not going to be placed perfectly, I'm sorry. So yes, sort of don't go mad at me that they're not in perfect checkerboard or they're not. Can see how but we're still, it's still sticky and it still wants to pull up your canvas. Then we'll go to the blue. So this isn't perfect recipe, guys, by any means. Now the blue, can you see how the blue sort of falls off? Now the blue hasn't got as much sticky at all. In fact, the blue is kind of non-sticky. So if I push down hard with the blue, see, you get that kind of sucker feeling. So you've got to get used to it. Now the blue did leave a little bit of residue last night, but today, once it's hardened, I hope you can see that, guys. So it's not perfect. Sometimes it sticks a little bit funny and sometimes it doesn't. But can we make our own diamond painting wax out of this craft wax? Yes, we can. Is the formulation perfect? No, it isn't. Is it as good as all the other waxes? Not yet. Could I go on to formulate a recipe? Yes, possibly. Have I got the time and the resources? Not at the moment. So, but this is definitely the beginning, you know, and if you wanted to explore the avenues, I wanted to see, I say this is not a recipe guide, this is not, you know, you would have to do a lot more research, but the information I found wasn't there, and I'm surprised by these results. I thought that the yellow was going to be the better. I was absolutely totally wrong. But as for using them for craft wax for other stuff, wow, you'd need some power in your hands before you could do that. That's, I can just about try and you'd need to warm them first. Potential is there if you were to sort of super soften the recipe. You know, I mean, what other things you'd use craft wax for, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. So yeah, I'm glad I've done this little experiment. It was fun. It was fun, and yeah, I think it's possible to make your own. I like messing and I like figuring things out and I like formulating recipes. It's from sort of my soap making stuff. But it was fun. It was fun. So it is possible. I hope you enjoyed this little experiment. I hope you found it entertaining. And yeah, I'll see you again soon, guys. Take care. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.